Hello, this video, the theme of it is about structure. But before we get on to that, in this location, things are very different. The structure of life is very different. So it hadn't even occurred to me that it's this Easter weekend. But it's interesting what's been happening over the last few days. Because I don't know if any of you have ever wondered why Easter does not have a fixed date. That is because the date of Easter each year is set as being the first Sunday after the first full moon following the spring equinox. And this is from an organization that tells you that astrology and divination and such like and tarot cards are all evil, and yet they fix the date each year of Easter by basically astrological observations, which I find quite amusing and also highlights the double standard and hypocrisy of it all. So structure, I made a little video yesterday on the Varnfried Cat Sanctuary channel, and since then, if you look at that channel, you'll see that the sub-base for what I call the down platform is now starting to take shape. I've sourced a few more rocks which will create the frontage. There's a long way to go with it yet, but it's being tested out here by Zibby and Misha. Anyway, we'll get on to the subject proper of this video, and that is to talk about these One-to-Juan tarot card readings. So I'm using part of a very recent reading I did because it perfectly illustrates how this works. And the feedback I'd got from that reading was that it was highly accurate. So what I generally do is to do a 7-card reading. And the way it works is it reads right to left with this bottom row of 4 cards. This represents the underlying nature, the underlying circumstances, and the actual question that would lead you to ask for a reading. Above that are 3 cards that represent the present. That reads left to right. And so it's basically going this way. But within this reading, it's, if you can imagine the way you would build a brick wall, you would have your 2 bricks, and then the next layer would be across the 2 bricks. And it follows that same principle because you're building on the past or the recent past to the present with a tarot card reading, or more correctly, what is being reflected in what comes out in the cards. So we start with this card, number 9, the Hermit. It's a major arcana card. It represents withdrawal from ordinary things, a quest for inner truth, mature acceptance of life. So if we look at the illustration on it, you've basically got this tree that is going towards the light. On the one side of it, you could say, is your physical self that is looking inward, and reflected is like a doorway into the unknown. It's facing oneself. So there's the first card. It's a major arcana, so it's more connected with the higher self. Now the next card on this particular reading, and it's one I featured in a previous video because it kept coming out so frequently, and it's the Four of Birds. Now, the suit called Birds represents air and therefore spirit, so it does tie in with a major arcana in the sort of lower arcana for suits. And it's fairly self-explanatory in this illustration. It's a card that represents rest, withdrawal for the purpose of healing, discoveries when we least expect them. So it's having that internal reflection, so it fits in very much as a confirmation to what the Hermit card is showing. But then when we come to the present, we come to the Eight of Trees. Now, the trees in this particular deck, the Shining Woman, represent fire, the element of fire. So in this depiction, you'll see this figure is sort of rising above everything. It is sort of having a higher perspective on it. The card represents emotions or situations out of control, which can very much seem that way in our daily lives. There are things in the external that we don't have any control over. Things happen, circumstances change, and such like. But what this card represents is having the confidence in these times that would seem to be not very conducive. So what this card is doing, it's got the structure of these two cards below it. The one that is telling you you've had a period of rest, a period where you've gone within yourself and done a lot of self-reflection and finding that inner truth. So the lessons learned from the experience that we go through with these two cards will lead to this point where you'll find yourself in a situation, but you're now able, through this self-learning, that you can just fly above these things, which is what is being depicted in this card. So this happens right across this reading. I've not actually pulled out all the cards of the reading. This is why the other ones are face down. But it will be exactly the same principle, the same formula. So if we were to take these two cards, it would be the foundation on which this card will then confirm what these two have shown that has happened in the past, and likewise with these two. Now, I don't always do a 7-card reading. Sometimes I may even add in an 8th card. It just depends on the reading. I just go with the intuition on this. It may well be that I form a sort of greater sort of triangle or pyramid structure by doing 2 cards and then another card above that. So you do get this sort of pyramid structure. So you've got these series of pyramids building on the foundation of the previous cards. So I thought I'd just share that with you because this is not something that I consciously planned. None of this about the way I do this spread of tarot cards readings is based on your more traditional readings that will give you, if I remember rightly, you get 1 card, then 1 over it, and then you get 4 around it, and then you get 4 down one side. But I just developed my own way of doing these readings. Oh, what a beautiful card. This last one that I've turned over, the Shining Woman. That's, shall we say, enlightenment. There's no coincidence with anything. So it's maybe that is why it turned out to be this card, because I didn't actually put particular cards out apart from those 3 that I showed you. But it's amazing that this one is like the final outcome. It is effectively achieving that enlightenment, finding your true self within, which again I feel is being reflected here. It's a beautiful card, and if you look closely at it, it's almost like showing the energy is radiating out all the way round. Notice also it's, instead of a face, you've got what is basically the mind's eye being reflected here. And of course, you also have this tree, which is the gut or God feeling, the intuition. That is the most important thing, your most important guide, to learn that communication that is coming from within. So your true self is being represented here, and then you could say you have your etheric body being shown here in white. Around that is your astral body, reflected, I suppose you could say, by the colour blue. And then your entire being, your eye organisation, would be represented by this sort of brownish red colour as well. And it's also reflecting the sort of the vibratory nature, that because we are just energetic beings, we are not the physical body. You do not contain a soul. You are a soul within a physical body. But the universe is U-Inverse, which again is being reflected here, because you've got what looks to be like a physical body that's right in the centre. So what a beautiful card that has come out. I could say purely by chance, but there are no coincidences with these things. So I have gratitude that of all cards to come out, it is this Shining Woman card, which is also the name of this particular tarot deck. So if you'd like a personal reading, which could really make a huge difference to your life in the way you're seeing your situation, because when we're in the thick of things, as it were, it is very difficult to have an objective view and be able to stand back from ourselves, and the tendency is always to go with a lower mind and try and figure it out, to try and think our way out of things, when the real way to do it, that is the most successful, is to do the unthinkable. That is to not think it, but just let things come to you. Act like a king or a queen. You do not go chasing. You let the things come to you. So we'll end that there. And I just wanted to share that. The feedback I got for that particular reading that had those three cards was one that it was highly accurate. And I knew nothing about the background, the circumstances. It is just purely what comes out, excuse me, in the artwork. And it sort of tells a story in the pictures, because the artist has put heart and soul into the creation of these cards. And of course, it doesn't have to be the original artwork. There is something locked in an energetic form by the artist. And you'll find this across the board with all forms of art, because art is creativity. So do check out the links in the description to the Varnfried Cat Sanctuary channel, and also the Varnfried Art Brillante channel. That will take you into a wonderful world of discovery. And you may find things in there that may spark an interest for you, may inspire you in some way. So with that, as always, unconditional love to you all.